Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Because of the tzor in Klal Yisrael, we'll start off shir instead of emails tonight because I didn't have time anyway for what's the Shabbos and everything else. We'll go straight into Tehillim. Kapitel Kuf Mem Beis. Maskil Lebovic. We could say it together, Rabbi Sai. Maskil Lebovic. B'yosoy v'amaros filo. Koili el adinoi ezo. Koili el adinoi es chanon. Eshpoich lefonov sichi. Tzorosi lefonov agid. Besatei volai ruchi. Vato yodat unusivosi. Boyrach zua aleich. Tomnu fachli. Habeit yominu re'ei ve'ein li makir. Ovad monois mimeni ein dereish lenafshi zoakti elecho adinoi amarti ato machsi chelki beretz hachayim hakshiva rinosi kidaloi simioi datzileni miroitfai kiyom tzu mimeni hoitzio mimazger nafshi loi doise shemecho v'yachtir tzadikim ki sigmor loloi acheinu kol beis Yisrael anesurim b'tzoro v'ashivyo Hoy de bein bayom u bein bayabosho hamoko im yirachem aleihem yitzim mitzoro l'rvocho u'me'afelo li'oiro mishibe l'gulo hashto bagalo u'vizman koriv v'nimar omein. Just a second, I chaf for the first time. Me'afelo li'oiro meant a whole new meaning from the tunnels, which are dark, like who could imagine living in such conditions for 3 weeks? Ma'amish afelo li'oiro. I mean, that's not the literal meaning, but over here it's literal. Me'afelo li'oiro. We should hear Psuras Toivas. Those who are captured should be free. Those who are injured should be healed. And all the neshamas should have an aliyah. The families that are waiting to hear other loved ones alive, not alive. Those who lost loved ones should have an achama. Because it's a late Motzei Shabbos, a longer daf, and it's very difficult to get here on time. So no emails. I just want to talk about the fact that we're starting a brand new Seder Nezikin. It's a great opportunity to bring someone that you know that's not learning torah or not learning enough torah to learn torah. It's a great opportunity. We might have a surprise. We're working on something special for the entire Masechta, something different. Be'ez Hashem, it will come to fruition. In terms of the Shabbaton, Shabbos of Chizuk. Just right now, for me, it's a big surprise. I hope it works out. My Heilige Father said he's going to be Mishtatev. So if anybody wants to meet him in person, he's going to be there. Be'ez Hashem, I just spoke to him now right before the shir. And I'm very much looking forward. Haven't spent the Shabbos with him in years. I mean, last time he used to come to us in Ramat Beit Shemesh, then it got harder for him. So to spend the Shabbos is going to be unbelievable, and I think the Olam will have enough from him. That being said, people were concerned about the security there. So we have 4 armed guards by the entrance, and throughout the Shabbos, there's going to be plenty of our people that are carrying weapons and that sort of thing, and we have a whole list of people. So the shtalis that we could do. What else are people concerned about? Whatever. I'm sure there's many concerns. There's still options to do the raffle. By the way, the raffle. Talk about the raffle. So I think there's about 100 people that bought tickets for $79. 100 people. But if you think about it, the odds are tremendous. It's 3 rooms out of 100. So 1 in 33 wins, maybe. Something like that. That's how it works? Mashu kazeh. But not anymore because I just said it. So now, all right. Rabbi say we can jump right into it. We're starting a brand new sugya, brand new Mishnah, Daf Ayin Zayin Amud Aleph. Bas Cholol Za. Oh, you know what? No. Before we go into that, so I haven't done this. Been a little bit lazy because of the war and everything. But let's do just the Yidis, just a few of them. We don't have that many. A little bit of Chazara. Shaveh Nafshi Chatich Di Surah is when a person could make an Isser for himself, create an Isser, say this for me, I think it's Nevela, so for him, it's Asr. These are all musagim that we're familiar with, but it's kedai to repeat. Ein davar shebever pakas mishnayim, the halacha, that when it comes to achdus, you need at least two people when it comes to a davar shebe'erva to testify. Kahal Gerim, lo yikri kahal. We had a whole sugya. Is the congregation of Gerim considered a kahal or not? If you hold not, and that's how we paskin, so they are permitted to marry mamzerim, because lo yikri kahal. Mishapara. The idea of mishapara means that a person who doesn't keep his word, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is gonna take revenge. And it's a Mishnah in Azov, mishapara man shidar amabu midar aflagu hu asli para misheni oimid v'diburoi. It's a sort of a curse, mishapara. All right. And the Masechta is sponsored by Lakewood and Lebovic families, Lakewood NJ, because torah and achdus are the best segula. The Masechta, second sponsor, came in late into the Masechta. I don't know what Yosef has for him, because he just came in, a week ago. He spent $9,000 to sponsor the Masechta Yishkoyach for the unity of Am Yisrael. Paras HaChodesh, the last day, Nishmas Chayo Bas Yosef. Paras HaChodesh, Hatzlocha L'zechus Yosef Mayer ben Rochel and Yidden worldwide. Paras HaShavua, Natalie and Victor Kraiem in honor of Gedalia ben Asea, Gustavo Furman. In the art of the month, Yosef ben Chayesar for the schusen that come from supporting Limud Torah. Says the Mishnah, Bas Chalal. What's a Chalal? A Chalal is a person who's born from a Kraiem marrying somebody he's not supposed to marry. So let's say a Kraiem marries a Grusha, a divorcee, so the child is a Chalal. All the Mishnah is saying is that this Chalal and the son of a Chalal and the son of a Chalal, forever they remain Chalalim. And therefore, if any one of these sons, a son, Ben Achar Ben Achar Ben Achar Ben, has a daughter, that daughter is also to marry a Kraiem. But if it's a girl who has a kid, a girl who has a daughter, is not also lakuna. That's all the Mishnah is saying. Bas Chalal Zachar Psula Min Akuna La'olam. La'olam means Ben Achar Ben Achar Ben Achar Ben, forever also. Yisrael Shenasa Chalala. But if the person who's a Chalal is a female, a Chalala, and Yisrael married the Chalala, Bitek Sheri Lakuna. So the distinction between a Zachar and a Keva. The Zachar keeps his name Chalal forever, but the Chalala loses it. It's like a mikvah l'tahar. She marries Yisrael, her kids become Tahir. Yisrael shenasa Chalala bidik sheri l'kuna. Chalal shenasa bas Yisrael, and now we repeat it. Chalal shenasa bas Yisrael, but if he's a Chalal, it's a repetition. Same halacha again. Bitay psula l'kuhuna. Okay. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Bas Ger Zachar. Rabbi Yehuda says that if there's a ger who's a Zachar, and he has a child, a daughter, Kebas Chalal Zachar. So, in other words, the child of a ger, not a giyaris, a ger, has a psul to him. He's pasal l'kuna. The daughter is pasal psul l'kuna. She can't marry into kuna. So we have this. If you want to see, this is what Yoshi did. Surprised me in Motzei Shabbos. Threw this on my computer. Chalal. I did something a little different. This is mine. The three-way machlokes. According to Rabbi Yehuda, a ger who marries a Yisraelis, a Ksheira, their daughter is possible. According to Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov, if one of them, even if the father is Jewish, then the kid is kosher. And Rabbi Yossi is on the opposite extreme. Anytime you have a three-way machlokes, usually you have somebody who says everything is possible, you have somebody who says everything is kosher, and you have somebody in between. Says Rabbi Yossi, even if two gerim marry each other, a ger and a giyaris marry each other, the child, the bas, is kosher l'kuhuna. Where Rabbi Yehuda says that even if the ger married a Yisraelis, pasal l'kuhuna. Elazar ben Yaakov says you have to have at least one parent to be a Yid, a Jew, a Yisrael, and then it's kosher. So let's see inside. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Bas Ger Zachar Kebas Chal Zachar. If the father's a ger, even if the mother is Yisraelis, kid is possible. If the mother is Jewish, then it's fine. As long as one of the parents is a Jew, then even if the Yisrael Shanasa Ger is Bidik Sher Likuna, the Ger Shanasa Bas Yisrael Bidik Sher Likuna, it doesn't matter. As long as one of the parents is a Yid, then even if the father is a Ger, the kid is Kasher Likuna, the daughter. Aval Ger Shanasa Geres. Well, Rabbi Yaakov holds that if both parents are gerim, bitay psula likuna. Echad ger ve'echad avadim shuchrarim, afilu ad asara doiros. If two gerim marry each other and they have a daughter, a geiris, right? She's psula according to Rabbi Yaakov, and she marries another ger, and they keep on going generation after generation. Ger marries ger marries ger. They're all in one community and they marry each other. They're always possible 10 generations later. You have to have a mother that's from a Yisrael. Rabbi Yossi Omer, he's on the other extreme. He says it doesn't matter. A ger's child is always kosher, even if a ger marries a geiris, the daughter is kshera. Says Gemara, my loyal. All the way in the beginning of the mission, we had first line, Bas, Cholol, Zocher, Psul, Mekhuna, Loilam. If you have a son, a Cholol, and that Cholol has a son, and that Cholol's son has another son. In other words, it doesn't matter if the Cholol marries the Israelis and they have a child, a son, and that son marries the Israelis and they have another child, the child constantly remains a Cholol. Just like we have Yichus, Ben Achar, Ben Achar, Ben, the son after the son from this and this Rebbe. So you have the son after the son of the son from this cholol and it remains in the family forever. What's Maila Olam? What's the big Chiddush Loilam? Mal the same immediately have a mitzri v'adoimi. Mal alon achshloisha doiros. Avkan namel achshloisha doiros. By a mitzri, it stops. The adoimi stops. It's a big Chiddush that by a hamoini and mayavi it goes on forever. By a mamzer we said it goes on forever. Even a mamzer, we said that after 10 generations, they shouldn't act like mamzerim, but, or gerim. Gerim shouldn't act like gerim after 10 generations. But I would think that why should a chol be worse off than a mitzri? A guy, a mitzri, an Egyptian. After 3 generations, enough. So you think that a chol after 3 generations also enough? No. Chol la'olam, he remains a chol. Yisrael shenos a chalala. If a Yisrael marries a chalala, then it goes off. No chalala. They don't have a child that's a chalala. Their daughter is mutar l'kuhuna. If a Yisrael, again, it's only when a chalal marries a Yisraelis, then the chalal keeps on going down from generation. But a woman doesn't carry the chalala. Menanimi, how do we know? So we have a little bit of a. I'm just going to skip these. I didn't connect to them. I didn't speak to Yoshi about it. He put it on my computer, and unfortunately, I know he went to sleep late at 1 a.m. Here, we'll see. Rabbi Yaakov says Ger and Ger is possible. Rabbi Yossi says Ger and Ger is kosher. Okay, straight out of Machlokes. This he did for me. That's by Almana L'Kohen Gadol. It says Lo Yitama Bal Ba'amav Leichaloi. This is the pasuk of Tumah. Now, it's not just the pasuk by Tumah. Lo Yitama Bal Ba'amav. That is, let me ask you a question. Lo Yitama Bal Ba'amav Shalom Aleichem. Lo Yitama Bal Ba'amav. Could a Kohen be metamet to his wife? Yes. Could a Kohen go to a funeral of his wife? Yes. So why it says Lo Yitam Bal Ba'amav? Because we're talking about a Kohen who's married to somebody that, what? Someone that's osur to him. Yitam Bal Ba'amav. So the Gemara makes a Gzeir Shava. Since both psukim have the word Ba'amav in purple, so we have a Gzeir Shava. We can learn one from the other. Mal alon scharim v'lo nekevos, afkan scharim v'lo nekevos, just by Tumah. Tumah applies only to the men. A woman could be metamet to whoever she wants, even though she's a kehenes. So too, when it comes to chilul, a mechulal, a chalal. The chalal only gives off generation the men, the scharim, not the nekevas. Ask Gemara if that's the case. You're telling me that a chalal doesn't go to the next generation. So, if so, a kohen gadol who married an almana, the daughter should be okay, and we know she's not. Miksiv, says the Gemara, that's different. Because by kohen gadol, miksiv b'noi, zari ksiv. Special word in the Torah, zari means offspring, any offspring. It doesn't differentiate between a zachar and a nekeva by kohen gadol. Loichal zaroi ba'amav, it says. Not loichal b'noi ba'am, zaroi, anyone, even a girl. Ask the Gemara, if so, bas b'noi tishteri. Fine. Zaroi means his offspring, but the next generation should be okay. Says Gemara, ksiv loichal zaroi makish zari loi, ma'u bitoi psula, abnoi bitoi psula. Loichal zaroi, there's a hekesh between him and his offspring. So, okay, there's a new limud. There's a few things that we're learning here. First of all, Zari, we learn. Zari means girls as well. And also, Zari loy, just like his daughter is puzzle, so his Zari, his daughter is also puzzle to his Zari. In other words, we learn that a grandchild is also puzzle. That's the Gemara. If so, if you're learning just like him, his kid is puzzle, so therefore also his grandchild is puzzle. But what about his grandchild girl? Bas bidit titzar. No, that much not. In King Zereshava, Mayahanele. We have Zereshava that the nekeva is mutter. So what good is the Zereshava? In what case is the nekeva mutter? Must be the one case of a granddaughter. His own daughter is asur because it's a zara. His grandson is asur because it's loy and zara. But his granddaughter, we have Zereshava. We're learning something. We're learning chilul from tuma, and just like by tuma, there's no girls involved. So too, the halala doesn't apply to a what? To granddaughter. Next sugya. If this was too difficult, we go weiter. Chol shenasa bas Yisrael bitoy psula. If a chol marries a chalal, again, nachamal, a zachar marries a bas Yisrael, the halala keeps on going. It goes from generation to generation. Ask the Gemara, Natalie, Reisha, why did the Mishnah repeat itself? Simple answer. It says in the Reisha la'ilam. I did Tana Reisha Yisrael shenas halal. Tana now we say v'chol shenas bas Yisrael. Okay, it's just it flows better, it rhymes better, it goes well with the words. We repeated it, but no big Kiddushin. Says the Gemara, Masisa Loiker, with the Stoy ben Yehuda, we have a Tana that's mechulik in our Mishnah, the Sanya, with Stoy ben Yehuda. Oimer Kashem shebnei Yisrael mikveh tahara l'chalalos. Just like if a halala marries a Yisrael, a regular Yisrael that's kosher, their children are not halalim. Kach bnei Yisrael mikveh tahara l'chalal. And this is exactly the opposite of what our Mishnah says. Our Mishnah says that a chol remains a chol forever. And over here, Rabbi Stoy says, Kach b'nei Yisrael mikveh tahara l'chalalim, that if a chol marries a bas Yisrael, the child is not a chol, and our Mishnah says he is a chol. My time with Rabbi Stoy, Rabbi Yehuda, what's pshat on my crow? Lo yichal zar ba'amav. So, if you go back to this chart, I just stuck in a green lamed over here, because it could have said in the pasuk v'lo yachel. And the double, we had this already before, lo yichalel, the double lamed over here, teaches us, Bam echodu de meichal. Well, sorry, maybe that's not the pshat here. Omar kro lo yichal zar ba'amav. Rashi says it should have said the nekud is the ba'amav. It should have said amamav. Ba'amav ba'am echodu de meichal b'shnei amamim eni meichal. I would think Omar kro lo yichal zar ba'amav ba'am echodu de meichal b'shnei amamim enoi meichal. If they're both, the story holds, both parents have to be from the same nation. Ba'amov, in his nation, one type of nation. In other words, both of them are chalalim. But if you mix a chalal with a Yisrael, a chalala with a chalal with Israelis, or a chalala with Israel, then they're kosher, because it's not ba'amov, it's not within the same nation. Torah Rabbanan lo yichalel zaroi, ainli elo zaroi. He asked me minayin. How do you know, and this is a chiddush, it was a chiddush to some people here, that you don't have to be born into chalal. A chalal is not somebody that's born a certain way. It's not only when a Kraiem marries a divorcee. If a Kraiem has a relationship with someone that's also to him, she becomes a halala. He created a halala after birth. Now, Rashi has a question here. Look at Rashi. He atzma menayin. Says Rashi, he atzma menayin. Shalmonim is chalelas bebiyosim and atruma and akuhuna. What does Rashi want over here? Rashi is bothered. Talking about a woman who's a grusha. She's a divorcee. So if she's a divorcee, she's already usher on every kain in the world. So what difference does it make if you call her a halal? Okay, so you added something to her. She's a halal, great. She can't marry a kain anyway. So says Rashi a number of interesting things here. Number one, shalmonim is halal bebiyosim in a truma. If she could eat truma because she is a kohenes, this bia will create her. She'll become a halala. And she'd be usher to eat truma. That's chiddush number one. So it's possible that a woman is an almana, and she becomes a halala. And what's the problem now? Now she can't eat truma. Truma min hakuna, she can't marry into kuhuna. That's another thing. Because she's a halala, now she can't marry a kain. Even though she's an almana, she can usually marry a regular kain. Now she cannot because she's a halala. Another thing, says Rashi, he's going to get malchus for the halal. Now that's another story we're going to see soon. You get malchus for grusha, get malchus plus malchus for halala. Says the Gemara. The kohen shouldn't create a chilul to his offspring. What about herself? Does she become a halala? Amris kavachomer. The Gemara learns a kavachomer. Mazor shalovar avera mischalel. He shavar avera in a din she mischaleles. The child. I was here. What was his name? Aber. Remember Aber? He used to live here in Chicago. I think so. Yaakov Aber. His father had like stuff downtown, so he was mekarev. People that college students, whatever. So I remember he said, "Come, I want to show you what I do." So he had a conference room there, and he had all these college students. He gave sushi there. So one of the big questions that one of these college students had is, why is a kid a mamzer? What did the kid do wrong? Why should the kid be a mamzer? Because his parents did something wrong. So he has to suffer the consequences. Now you see it here in the Gemara, a similar thing. What did the kid do wrong? He didn't do anything wrong. Mischalel, nevertheless, he's called a chalal. He sha'avra aveira, this woman who's an almana, let's say, or grusha, whatever she is, she shouldn't have married the kohen gadol. She shouldn't have married a yediעות, and it didn't mischalelas. So what's the obvious question on that? So certainly she should become a chalala. That's a Gemara, a bomb question. What about the kohen? He himself did a major avera. He married a grusha. Nothing happens to him. Zero. So sha'ova avera v'emischal. Says the Gemara, Malahu shekein emischal b'chol malkan. He never has chilul, even if he's with a shifcha, even if he's with a zayna. Nothing ever happens to him. If she has relations with a kusi, with a chal, and us and a mamzer, she's mischal. So Mela, she should be mischal with this kavachomer. And if you have a good answer to the kavachomer, then I'll tell you, Amakro lo yichalel zaroi. The Gemara is in a second going to say what the question can be. But before that, lo yichalel zaroi, lo yichulal zeh. That's what I put on the chart over here. You can see lo yichalel because it's extra lamed. The what? Lo yichulal zeh shoy koshev v'neschalel. The Gemara is saying a beautiful thing here. What does chilul mean? You have something that exists and you're mechal it. I think the article uses a lashon of profane. If you have a Shabbos, you can be mechal the Shabbos. If you have a kid that's born a mamzer, he's born a mamzer. Is he a chalal? He's not a chalal. He's born a certain way. If you have a woman who's kosher, right now she can marry anybody she wants. And she went and she did something. she married a kohen that she shouldn't have, she becomes a halala. It's taking something that was kosher beforehand and making it non-kosher, making it a chilul. Says the Gemara, that's why it makes sense. The lashon lo yichalel is a good lashon that applies to a woman who's kosher, and she becomes halala. She becomes profane. Yeah, is that the lashon in the article? Something like that. Now the Gemara just goes back. What question did you have on your kavachomer that you said, but by the way, we have another pasuk that's going to get us out of the problem? What are you proving? The whole kavachomer is, if this kid, he didn't do an aveira, he's a halal. She who did an aveira, certainly she should be a halala. But he was created in aveira. That's why he's a halal. He comes from a union that's asur. The Torah said these two should not be together. They got together and they had a kid. So he's a halal. What shaykhis is like saying, for instance, I'm throwing out a mashal now, I just thought about it now. If a woman has a relationship she's a married woman, she has a relationship and her kid is a mamzer. Does that make her a mamzer? No. She had a Isser union that created a mamzer, but it doesn't apply to her. So we're saying this kid was created be'Isser, so he's a chalal. The fact that she was over aver doesn't make her a chalala. That the Gemara says, Omar Kro lo yichalel, lo yichalel zeshoy kosher v'nischal. The lashon chilul applies to somebody who was kosher and was nischal, not someone that was born. And Mamela, I learned from there that the woman herself becomes a chalala. You asked me, well, what about him? He should also. No, you don't see anywhere in the Torah that a kohen becomes pasul by a bia asura. Torah. Ezi chalala, what creates a chalala? Kol shenolda min apsulim. The Gemara seems to be saying that even in Yisrael, who was over Isser, he's going to create a kid that's a chalal. Doesn't really make sense. My psulim, ilema psulim loy. Let's say Yisrael, he shouldn't have a certain relationship. For instance, the psula loy ubonek sherim. A Yisrael who cannot marry his ex after she got married. She's pasul. But the kids are kosher. The chsiv toyeva he. Go to the pasuk stam if you want to see the pasuk. Lo yuchal bala rishon shichol lo shel kach lo yis leish achrei asher hutama. Ki toyeva he lifnei Hashem. It's a toyeva. It's an abomination to take the wife back. But it doesn't create a psul in the kid. He toyeva and she's a toyeva, not the children. So Mela cannot be talking about Yisrael who did something wrong. He cannot create chalalim. A child that was born from a psul kahuna, like from a Kraiem marrying divorcee, that creates a chal. Nolda in, loy nolda loy. Well, it seems like only born. Hari almano grusha zoyna, the loy nolda, v'kave chalala. She herself, as we established before, no almano marries a kohen gadol, grusha marries a regular kohen, a zoyna. She herself is a halal. She wasn't born like that. Halala, we're going to see in a second what it means. Halala, who never was kosher for a second. How do you have a situation? And we're going to say, here, let's just explain. So look at this pasuk. It says in the pasuk, Isha Zaina Chalala Lo Yikachu. It says before in the pasuk, Zaina Chalala, and then it says Isha Grushim Isha. But what's a simple pshat in the pasuk? Simple. What's a chalala? When you read the pasuk the first time in your life, Isha Zaina Chalala, did you think for a second it's talking about a woman who had a relationship with a kohen that was asur? No. You thought it meant a kid that was born a chalal. Isha Zaina Chalala. The whole way we know that a woman who marries a kohen when she shouldn't marry him, she turns into chalala, is our sugi now that taught it to us through a kavachomer. But it's not the simple pshat in the pasuk. Simple pshat in the pasuk is a kid that's born a chalal, a girl that's born a chalala. That's what the Gemara is saying. Ezi chalala sheikra medivir Torah. What is a chalala that's the simple pshat in the pasuk? And we don't have to come on to Kavachoimer like our sugya. You should know. It only occurs when a Kraiem marries a grusha, when a Kraiem gadol marries an almana. That's the only way it could happen. One of these things that are psul kuna, but not when a Yisrael is machzir grushasai or something like that. Now we have sort of a shas sugya, geshmakas sugya, brand new sugya. Nachamal, if you're sleeping until now, it's geshmakas time to wake up. Tana rabban, almana, in a chayiv alachas. So we have to explain what this means. If a kohen is over on 3 almanas, he's only chayiv one malchus. Grusha, in a chayiv alachas. No, what do you think it means? 3 different women? No way, can't be. What could it possibly mean? The same woman was almana 3 times. So why would I think that he's chayiv 3? Who cares? She got divorced 3 times, so he's chayiv 3 times. What, each time she became more a divorcee, more and more? That makes no sense. Grusha in a chayiv alachas. Oh, but if it's almana ugrusha v'chalala zayna, nebach. First she's an almana, then she gets remarried, she becomes a grusha, then she becomes a chalala, then she becomes a zayna. Bizmanshem can say there if it goes in that order. Not that she got divorced and then she lost her husband. She lost her husband and she got divorced. Then she becomes chalala zayna. Chayiv kolachas v'achas. Here's a situation where a person can be chayiv. The Gemara likes to do it. Sometimes how is it possible that a person is chayiv 6 malchus 7? We had all these sugyas. It's cool. Jan can say the chayiv kolachas v'achas. However, if you reverse it, let's say Zinsav and his Chalav and his Gash and his Armelo, and a Chayiv Alachas, then you only Chayiv 1. What's Pshat? Omamar Almana Chayiv Alachas. What's going on here? Hi Almana Yechidami. Eli Mishabal Almanas Ruvain, Valmanas Shimon, Valmanas Levi. He had 3 different relationships with 3 different women. Amayne Chayiv Alachas. It makes no sense. Of course, should be Chayiv only. He should be chayiv 3 times. Daf Amud Beis. Hare gufim mechulakim erishem mechulakim. Separate women, separate averis. Elo shabal almana achas shalish biyos. Oh, yeah, 3 relations with 1 almana. Hey chidami, what's the case? If there's no asra, you can only get malchus if there's asra. So no shaykhs. If there's no asra, he doesn't even get 1 malchus. Certainly not 3. Hello, the Asra B'Yakol Chad B'Chad. No, there was Asra. Amay in Chayiv Alachas. So why is he only Chayiv 1? But nah, Nozer Shoy Shesi Yain Kolayim Kulo in Chayiv Alachas. I think I have a picture. Oh, this is if you weren't here by Nozer. So I interviewed a real life Nozer, Turjuman. Happens to be that it's I think the most watched video that we've ever done. It has like 40,000 views or something. A lot more than a regular share. And on YouTube, I'm talking about just YouTube. And then our artist Yoshi, he created the character on the right. This is a drawing. It's not a photo. And then the whole Nazir, we had him as our Nazir, and he came live to the shir. It was the whole thing. Okay, what's not Nazir? A Nazir who says he makes a Nazirus. He says he's not going to have anything to do with wine and with the peels of the grapes and the chartzah and the whole thing. And he drinks bottle after bottle. He's chayiv once. If they keep on warning him, they give him the whole thing. And if you drink, you're going to get malchus. Don't drink, and if you drink, you're going to get malchus. Don't drink, and if you... Each time they tell him, it's chayiv another malchus. So, over here also, it's 3 different women, 3 different... Chayiv. I'm sorry, 1 woman 3 times. Chayiv on each one. It's like drinking 3 cups from 1 bottle. You chayiv on each one. Says the Gemara, the Kiddush is that it's the Alman of Ruvain, who was also before Alman of Shimon, which was the Alman of Levi. I would think for a second that maybe she comes from different men, so there should be chayiv. Not. Now, based on the sugya that we're going to have in a second, there's a big kash over here. Why would I think something like that? Ein isser chalal isser. Okay, so let's see the sugi over here. It's very simple. It's not this harder sugis where we learned this moisef is a kail. Now it's going to be simpler. Almanu grusha v'chalal zayna. You have a woman who has 4 isurim to her. First of all, she's an almana, she's a grusha, and she goes ahead and she marries a kail. After she's a chalal and a zayna. Says Gemara, so the classic example, we're going to see soon. A person eats a cheeseburger on Yom Kippur. It's Yom Kippur. Could you add the Isra of Yom Kippur on top of the cheeseburger that existed before Yom Kippur? You have this piece of meat is also for you, it's nevela. So I'm going to take a bite out of this nevela. For that I get malchus. Does the chorus of the Isra Yom Kippur apply itself on top? Could you put 2 isurim into one thing? So here you have one woman. Could you add isurim to her? She's already an almana. So how are you going to add grusha? How are you going to add more stuff? If you hold that you could apply one isur on top of another, so if it's in the reverse order also, if she's a zayna and then a chalala and then a grusha and an almana, should also be chayiv for. Because of an isur, and if you can't apply one isur on top of another, I feel you can say that's an amilai. So then, what if you hold you can't put one isur on top of another isur? So then, how could you be chayiv on 4? You're right. He holds you cannot add one isur on top of another. Isur moisef islay. Very, very simple. Anytime the second isur, you have one isur. Anytime you add another isur to it, and that isur applies to somebody else or something else, so it's wider, and you're chayiv for that extra width. So by us it's very simple. An almana is only asur to a kohen gadol. Then she becomes a divorcee. Now she's asur to all the kohanim. So now you just added. It just became wider. Her isur became much to many more people. Before she was only asur to one person in the world. Now she's asur to all the kohanim in the world. So any kohen that marries her is chayiv, or the kohen gadol I should say, marries her. He's chayiv for the isur of almana because he's a kohen gadol, but also because of the isur of grusha, which applies to all the other people. It's just wider. So let's see inside. Because of it's a moise of islay. That what? Alman asur the kohen gadol v'shar the kohen hedid. Alman is only also the kohen gadol and mutter to everybody. Havila grusha, and then she becomes a grusha. Since now she became also to all the kohanim in the world. So now the kohen gadol is also going to suffer that isur that applies to all the kohanim in the world. But she's still mutter to eat truma. But once you added, now we're not even talking about isur to people. We're just saying we added a isur to her. She's not allowed to eat truma anymore. So now the kohen gadol is with her. Now he's chayiv on the fact that she's a chalala. Because the chalala, it didn't just, it's not a box on top of a box. Now it's a wider box. Now she's also to eat truma. It's chayiv for that. So here we need to understand this. Explains Rashi that a zayna, a woman, a regular woman, a Yisrael is married to Yisrael. She goes ahead and she's mizana. She's eishes. So she becomes a zayna. Now her husband is asur to be with her. So since we're not even talking about that, we're talking about a woman who's with somebody that's asur to her. Let's say she had a relation with her own brother, so she becomes a zayna. So because the Shem Znus makes her asur in Yisrael, if she was married to Yisrael and she became a zayna, he would have to divorce her. That's mizana, he has to divorce. So Mela, this kohen gadol is also going to have to suffer for that Shem Znus, and he has to pay for it. So says Rav Sheshes, let's see the pasuk here. Yeah, he should marry a psula. So kol shu b'yikach, hareu b'lo yikach. Then, only then, in other words, any woman that he can marry, excluding his own sister, that woman, you could apply yisurim to her. She could become a grusha, she could become an almana. But a sister who he cannot marry, she's not a b'lo yikach, so he can't apply the isur of almana. So let's say he's with his own sister and she happens to be a divorcee. He's only over, he's over on being with the sister, but not a grusha. Nafkamina. There is a nafkamina. How many malchus? How many this? How many that? Says Gemara, Kol shebiyikach, harei b'lo yikach. Kol shebiyikach, ene b'lo yikach. Prat, the kohen gadol shabal ha'choyse almana. Omer lei, Dama Lachmani, who told you this? Reb Shimoni. Dama Yinis Achal L'Isser. Once she's your sister, so you can't apply another isser of almana. The sign Reb Shimon Oimer. Oh, here we go. Rochel nevela b'yom kippurim patur. I love this ma'isa. There's a guy that comes to the Rav. He says, Rebbe, please, I need a kapara. He says, what happened? He says, I didn't wash my machronim. He says, you didn't wash my machronim? Why didn't you wash my machronim? What's wrong with you? He says, because I didn't wash my hands for the amoitzi. He says, why didn't you wash your hands for amoitzi? So I'm going to wash my hands on amoitzi when there's chazer in there? I'm not going to wash. He says, why you need chazer? He says, because in Yom Kippur all the stores are closed. I couldn't find the store that was open. So I ate a stick of chazer. So what's the that's what's going on here. What's the nimshal? No, because a lot of times I think we're all guilty with this. We're looking around, we said like, oi, why did this war happen? It could be the war happened because I once dropped the siddur on the floor and I forgot to kiss it when I picked it up. No, because we did an aveira. We're over on certain aveiras and we have to do tshuva. A lot of times we take it easy on ourselves. This is because I didn't wash my machronim. No, you ate chazer Yom Kippur. That's what you did. Okay, fine. This guy, Shimon Oimer, ha'oichel nevela b'yom kippurim patur. He's doing two things. He's also, by the way, Shmuel Salant, when he was very sick at the end of his life, the doctor said you have to eat. He was worried about eating a half a shear, chatzi shear, asmin torah, the whole thing. So he came with a chap. I don't even know the whole. Basically, he made a shvuah erev Yom Kippur that he's not going to eat. So when you make a shvuah, the shvuah is chal before Yom Kippur. So a shvuah existed before Yom Kippur. So Yom Kippur cannot apply itself on top of the shvuah. And in a shvuah, there's no chatzi shir. There's no chatzi shir in a shvuah. So Mela, he got away from the chatzi shir Yom Kippur. On Yom Kippur, there's a problem of chatzi shir also in a torah. But there's no chatzi shir in a shvuah. And the shvuah happened before Yom Kippur, and Yom Kippur couldn't apply itself to the shvuah. That's such a chap. Okay, fine. Next. Zog the Gemara. It's kedai to be a lamdan sometimes. So, this guy, says Reb Shimon, a nevela is always before Yom Kippur. Why? Because of Rav Shach. If the animal was shot in the head before Yom Kippur, so it's a nevela before Yom Kippur. And if the nevela was, this animal was alive and well on Yom Kippur, then it's Ever Menachai before Yom Kippur, says Rashi. So the Isser is always before Yom Kippur. Says Reb Shimon, I cannot apply one Aveira on top of another Aveira. The Rabbanon, Am Yisrael Isser. According to Rabbanon, he would be over in both. Says Gemara, Rabbanon, Kem Rabbanon Yisrael Isser, Hanimili Isser Chomer Isser. When could one Aveira be applied to on another one when you have a big Aveira on top of a small Aveira? Aval Isser Kal, Isser Chomer Lichal. There's a whole thing here. Again, I didn't understand it exactly. I don't know. Okay, whatever. I'm not even going to show it. I didn't understand it, so I'm not showing it. Fine. Sorry. I apologize to Yoshi. I'm sure he worked hard on this, and I have no idea what this is. Next. It's just my Amaratz. It's not him. Usually I schmooze with him, and we have a whole thing because of where I am, and because of he was working on the Kiddushin book, and things didn't. Tomorrow, Beis Hashem. The Isser Kal, You have nevela. Nevela is alav. There's malchus. On the Isser of Yom Kippur, that he says, then even Chacham will agree that one Isser is not chal on another Isser. Igedamri, Homani, why do you need a pasuk, a special pasuk to say that Almana of Kohen Gadol? You don't add Almana Kohen Gadol onto, she doesn't add on top of a sister, right? You have a Kohen Gadol with a sister. She's not Almana. Gemara, Homani Rabbanani, the Amri Yisrael Isser. You need this special pasuk to say that she's not an almana, she's only a sister. Why? Because Rabbanan typically say that one isur goes on top of another isur. It can't be Reb Shimon, because Reb Shimon says in no case does the isur go on another isur, even a small isur, even an isur chomer on top of a small isur. Not is a kal isur chomer mibaya. Says Gemara, Mao the same, right? Because you have grusha, almana on top of a sister. Sister is kares. Says Gemara, Mao the same is sekuna shani. Kamashmalan. I would say no. Maybe there's, kohanim always have special mitzvahs. We add stuff to them, so I think they're different, and one is should be on top of no. Kamashmalan not. Omer Republic by Yisrael abal achoisoi. If Yisrael has relations with his own sister, zoyne mashvelo. That's 100% certain that she becomes a Zaina. Yeah, any woman that has, and that's a typical classic case, a brother and a sister, she becomes a Zaina. Chalala mashvila or loy mashvila? Does she become a Chalala or not? If a Kain marries a divorcee, she herself becomes a Chalala. So certainly she should become a Chalala because she's a Chayv Krisis, not just Chayv Lavin. No, that's only when a Kayin marries a divorcee, not a brother and a sister. And the fact, the halacha is, a brother and a sister doesn't create a halala. 2 more minutes. How do I know this? The Sanya. Grusha b'koyin gadol v'teis b'kav v'choymer b'koyin hediot. Grusha b'koyin gadol v'teis b'kav v'choymer b'koyin hediot. V'ana amino hashta. L'koyin hediot asura. L'koyin gadol mebaya. Here. So where's the psukim? Let's see if I can find them. Okay, here. Isha zorim chalal lo yikachu v'isha grusha misha lo yikachu. And then it says by a kohen gadol almanu grusha v'chalal zorim say lo yikach. Right? First pasuk is talking about regular kohen. Isha zorim chalal lo yikachu v'isha grusha misha lo yikachu. Then it says another pasuk by a kohen gadol. Why do I need a kohen gadol? Why do I need to tell you that a kohen gadol can't marry a grusha? A kohen gadol is no different than a kohen. He is a kohen. A regular kohen can't marry a grusha. The kohen gadol mebaya lo menemra kishem shechaluka grusha. Thank you, Mark. Kishem shechaluka grusha mizayin v'chalala b'kohen hediyot kachaluka b'kohen gadol, to teach us that you get a different aveira for a grusha. Grusha, if you look at the pasuk over here, let's look at the pasuk again. It says isha zoyin v'chalala yikachu. Period. One halacha. You can't take a zoyin and chalal. Then it says a new pasuk. V'isha grusha meisha lo yikachu. It's a separate halacha. It doesn't say isha zoyin chalal grusha lo yikachu. It's a whole nother matzav to tell us that you get, in addition to the first part of the pasuk, zoyin chalala, you also over on a grusha. Says Gemara Pshita Migra Gara. Why do I need to tell you that to a kohen gadol? Why should a kohen gadol? What do you think? Because he becomes a kohen gadol, so he lost his kohen hediyot part. If a kohen hediyot cannot marry a grusha, and if he marries a grusha who's a chalala, he gets 2 averas. So certainly a kohen gadol. Ella, we're gonna say kshem shechaluk grusha mizayin v'chalala. Kohen hediyot kach almana. The chiddush is in almana. The almana chaluk grusha v'chalala zayin b'kohen gadol. That you get another aveira for an almana by a kohen gadol, in addition to the grusha and the chalala and the zayna that we said before, that he gets 4 averas, or at least 2, almana and the grusha chalala. Says Gemara chalala lama nemra. Why does the Torah repeat by a kohen gadol the isur of chalala, which was already said by a kohen hediyot? It's obvious that the kohen here almana grusha chalala. It says by kohen gadol. Why do I need it? I know that a kohen hediyot can't be with chalala, so certainly not a kohen gadol. Says Gemara. Nemar kan zoyno. It says by kohen gadol zoyno. V'nemar lalon zoyno. It says by kohen hadyoid. Ma kan zari chulin. Aflalon zaroi chulin. Truth is, should we stop here? We'll do one more line. Let's see. Omar Ravashi. No, it says teaches the chiddush that is kids become chulin apostle. Omar Ravashi. Hilkach. Kohen haba ala choyse. Says Gemara, very interesting halacha. You have a kohen who has relations with his own sister. Zayna mashvila. So automatically, anybody that has relations with a sister, that sister becomes a zayna. That's the halacha of a zayna. Which she becomes also a kohen. Chalala loy mashvila. Even though, why does a kohen think about it? We said a halacha before that the only way to become a chalala is to have a iser kuhuna. A grusha to a kohen becomes a chalala. A sister to a kohen does not become a chalala because it's not a iser kuhuna. It's not a special halacha by a kohen that he can't marry his sister. It's a halacha for all Klal Yisrael. One thing he accomplished is he made her a zayna, but not a chalala. But here's the catch: zayni mashvila, chalali mashvila. Chazaru baleha. Now she's a zayna. Now a zayna is a iser kuhuna. So now he's also to her as a zayna, not as a sister. Asa chalala. Now she becomes, in addition to the zayna, she becomes a chalala because on the second bia she was already also to him as a zayna, not as a sister. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day, wonderful week. Be'ez Hashem, tomorrow here at 8 o'clock. Sharp.